Welcome back, everyone. It's October, one of my favorite months because it's the month of Halloween, which means 31 days of spooky decorations, candy, and of course a marathon of scary movies. But it also means getting to partake in one of my favorite traditions, watching all of The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror Halloween specials.
Hey, if you don't like it, go to Russia.
I started this tradition back in the late 90s when there were roughly 10 or 11 specials. Fast forward 2 decades, and if you can believe it, The Simpsons is on its 33rd season, which means that soon there will be more Simpsons Halloween specials than days of October. So, to celebrate, I'm counting down my top 10 Halloween specials. Kicking off the list is actually last year's Halloween special from season 32. Although I tend to be more of a fan of the early Halloween episodes, there's simply no denying the laughs that come out of this episode, particularly the first story titled Toy Gory and the last story titled B9 Rewind. Toy Gory takes the innocence of the Toy Story franchise and flips it upside down in typical Simpsons fashion. Bart is a complete menace to his toys, and after repeatedly damaging and destroying his toys, they plot their revenge against him. What makes me laugh out loud is just how grim the plot is, while the style of it is a perfect parody of Toy Story, down to the song tempo and animation. The song lyrics alone make this worthy of a watch.
This is the end of Bart. He lost his human parts. That was nothing but a big old toy. Lost his chance to be a human boy. He's sweet and kind, but he's got no mind. This is the end of Bart.
B9 Rewind is a parody of the TV series Russian Doll, as well as a nod to the Happy Death Day movies. During Lisa's 9th birthday, she dies and wakes up to realize that she's stuck in a time loop where she keeps dying and reliving the same moment of time. Not long after, she discovers that the same thing is happening to Nelson, and the two of them must work together to stop it. If you've seen Russian Doll or the Happy Death Day movies, you'll definitely get some laughs out of this one.
I changed what happened, which means I can change my fate. Sorry, Milhouse. My inside's full of owies!
Okay, you killed the kid. You better do really well on the written portion.
You may be wondering why I skipped over the middle story into the Homerverse. Well, honestly, I found it just okay. However, the other 2 stories are more than enough to earn this episode its place on this list. Number 9, Treehouse of Horror 25. In School is Hell, Bart and Lisa discover a portal to Hell's version of high school. Naturally, Bart falls in love with it. As you'd expect, the episode is full of humor revolving around Hell, including some great jokes and puns.
Mom, please tell me I can go to hell. You want to walk with us? It's true. It would be a cold day in hell when I was popular.
It also makes fun of contemporary issues with school in general.
Keep your pants on, Marge. It's probably some private school that costs $1 million a year. And then they squeeze you for extra money through book fairs and silent auctions. And parents get 20 emails a day from the school. And everyone hits reply all to everything.
There isn't much to say about the next story titled A Clockwork Yellow, which I find to be just a mediocre parody of Clockwork Orange. However, the final story titled The Others is a treat for any longtime fan of The Simpsons. It's a very clever spoof of the film with the same title. After several mysterious occurrences in their home, the Simpsons discover that the ghosts of their former Season 1 incarnations are still in their house.
Hey, a little respect!
It's a lot of fun seeing the contrast in animation styles, and a hoot to see the show make fun of itself. Even the writing gets poked at, and many of the laughs stem from meta jokes and nostalgia.
Noble spirits, your time has passed. That was unmotivated. Don't have a cow, man. Shut up! Ay, caramba!
Who knows, this may even make you feel inclined to go back and watch Season 1.
So yeah, things aren't perfect with the missus and me, and by the way, nice melons.
Those are in the kitchen.
No!
At number 8 is Treehouse of Horror number 8. In The Omega Man, Homer appears to be the last man alive after France nukes the US. It's a great spoof of the Omega Man, including a bunch of Springfielders that have turned into mutants.
We don't like the word mutants, Homer. We prefer freaks or monsters.
Homer's reaction to the apocalypse are what you'd expect.
Hey, buddy, down in front.
In Fly vs. Fly, Homer purchases a matter transport device from Professor Frink. Bart uses the device to combine his DNA with the Fly's, but things don't quite go as planned. It's a fun parody of The Fly, but my favorite moments have to be early on when Homer is using the device for his own convenience.
Oh man, that's good.
In Easy Bake Coven, Marge is accused of being a witch, and when sentenced to death, reveals that she is indeed a witch.
Well, I'll be a son of a witch.
Partially spoofing The Crucible, it's a funny way of explaining the story behind trick-or-treating and Halloween.
We should do this every year. I just wish we hadn't filled up on all those kids before we got to the Flanders.
Number 7, Treehouse of Horror, number 6. The first story in this special, titled Attack of the 50-Foot Eyesore, parodies the 1958 sci-fi monster movie Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. After being disappointed by the small size of his colossal donut, Homer steals the giant metal donut from the Lard Lad statue. When lightning strikes the statue, it as well as other statues come to life and begin wreaking havoc on Springfield. The highlight is really the montage of interactions with the statues and characters.
What are you waiting for? Wreck the school. You know you wanna. I agree. Destroy the school.
In Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace, the kids are being tortured in their dreams by their old dead janitor, Groundskeeper Willie. This is hands down one of my favorites, as it perfectly spoofs one of my favorite slashers of all time. Willie's backstory is absolutely hysterical, and Martin's death makes me laugh every time.
Wheel him out quietly. It's best the children don't see him. Oh, just get it out of here. Not into the kindergarten.
The last story, Homer to the Third Degree, or Homer Cubed, however you want to pronounce it, is a spoof of the Twilight Zone episode Little Lost Girl. While trying to hide from Patty and Selma behind a bookcase, Homer stumbles into the third dimension. While not the funniest of the bunch, this story is more of a wow factor, as it was the first time seeing a 3D rendition of Homer, and I still remember the whoa reaction of watching this episode.
Holy macaroni!
Still, there is plenty of humor, mostly stemming from the reactions of the other characters. Even to this day, it gives me a bit of nostalgia, seeing the early 3D animated Homer.
Unprocessed fish sticks.
Coming in at number 6 is Treehouse of Horror 12. In Hex in the City, a gypsy curses Homer after he calls her a fraud and accidentally destroys her shop. Soon everyone close to Homer begins to suffer, and his only hope of ending it all is to find a leprechaun. It's a silly parody of the movie Thinner, and by far one of the most bizarre stories, yet full of laughable moments, like when Homer's trying to bait the leprechaun with cereal. In House of Wax, Marge purchases the Ultra House, a high-tech computer system that completely maintains and runs their house, eliminating the need for manual housework. Things appear great at first, but soon the Ultra House becomes fond of Marge and jealous of Homer. There are laughs at every corner, but Pierce Brosnan is really the star of the episode.
Homer, my dear fellow, you're carrying quite a bit of tension in your back fat. Oh, dear me. Oh, yes. Yum, yum, yum.
He's absolutely perfect as the voice of the Ultra House and hilarious in every scene all the way up to the end.
Looking for this?
No, not in there.
WizKids is quite simply a spoof of Harry Potter, and that's really all that needs to be said. It pokes fun at just about every aspect of Harry Potter, even the character names.
Who slithers?
Yes, Lord Mort.
Whether or not you're a fan of Harry Potter, this one will have you laughing.
Stop zapping yourself! Stop zapping yourself! Stop zapping yourself!
Number 5, the very first Treehouse of Horror from Season 2. I admit this one earns its place heavily because of nostalgia for me, but there's just something charming about the early seasons of The Simpsons. I always enjoy the intro warning Marge does, and it always brings me back to watching this as a kid. I also really enjoy Bart and Lisa's interactions as the wraparound, and just the dialogue and interactions are so much The Simpsons in its early days.
Here's a story that's really scarifying. Oh, brother.
The 3 stories aren't the best or funniest of the bunch, but they are still very fun. Bad Dream House parodies a little of both Poltergeist and Amityville horror as the Simpsons move into a new house that contains an evil presence. It turns out the house is built on an ancient Indian burial ground. Some of my favorite moments are simply the interactions the Simpsons have with the house.
Hey, man, we own you. Let's see some blood.
I don't have to entertain you.
Come on, man, do it. Do the blood thing. Come on, do it. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. Why are you trying to scare us? Are you trying to keep us from getting close to you? Maybe even loving you?
Leave me alone.
Hungry Are the Damned is a story that holds a special place for me, as it's not only the first appearance of Kodos and Kane, 2 of my favorite characters, but also a parody of one of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes, To Serve Man. During a barbecue, the Simpsons are abducted by aliens where they are treated like honored guests and served several gourmet meals supposedly to hold them over until they reach a planet called Rigel 4. It doesn't take long before Lisa gets suspicious of the aliens' motives and discovers a cookbook called How to Cook Humans. It's a fun spin on the classic Twilight Zone episode, and it always puts a smile on my face seeing Kodos and Kane.
On this cable system, we receive over 1 million channels from the furthest reaches of the galaxy.
You get HBO?
No, that would cost extra.
The Raven is pretty much the Simpsons' answer to the classic poem by Edgar Allan Poe. Although admittedly the story itself isn't very entertaining, it's a pleasure to hear it narrated by James Earl Jones. The highlights are really the interactions and reactions Bart and Lisa have as the poem is read.
Darkness there, and nothing more.
Huh?
You know what would have been scarier than nothing? What? Anything!
I also love the ending with Homer and Marge. As I said, this Treehouse of Horror is near and dear to me. It's charming, chock full of nostalgic notes, and after 31 years, it still makes me laugh and smile.
Oh, I hate Halloween.
Sliding in at number 4 is Treehouse of Horror 3. This episode features a great intro spoofing Alfred Hitchcock, with Homer warning the audience of the scary episode and subsequently provoking them to turn off their TVs.
Come on, I dare you. Chicken.
It also features a great wraparound with the Simpsons hosting a Halloween party for the kids and telling scary stories. The first story, titled Clown Without Pity, is a wonderful parody of the classic Twilight Zone episode Living Doll.
My name is Talkie Tina, and I don't think I like you.
When Homer forgets to get Bart a gift for his birthday, he rushes out and buys a talking Krusty doll that is said to contain an evil curse. After Bart happily receives the doll, it soon takes a dislike to Homer and repeatedly tries to kill him, which no one believes.
Don't leave me alone with him.
Homer's reactions are hilarious, and the way the episode makes fun of the premise is brilliant. The second story, King Homer, is Grandpa's version of King Kong. Again, the story pokes humor at nearly every aspect of the classic film.
Wow! Look at the size of that platform!
Putting Homer in the role has its own influence as well as some fun spins on the original story. The last story, told by Bart, is titled Dial Z for Zombies and loosely spoofs the Living Dead movies. Bart discovers a book containing evil spells in the school library, and in an attempt to bring their dead cat back to life, he accidentally unleashes a mass of zombies upon Springfield.
Dad, we did something very bad.
Did you wreck the car?
No.
Did you raise the dead?
Yes.
But the car's okay.
Uh-huh.
All right, then.
It's a great segment featuring all of the funny zombie bits you'd expect.
Dad, you killed the zombie Flanders.
You was a zombie?
It also features one of many ongoing cameos from my 2 favorite aliens. In third place is Treehouse of Horror 5. The first segment is a parody of The Shining titled The Shinning. The Simpsons travel to Mr. Burns' lodge where they serve as winter caretakers.
That's odd. Usually the blood gets off at the second floor.
Not long after, groundskeeper Willie discovers that Bart shares the same mental power he has.
You've got the shinning.
You mean shining.
Shh! You want to get sued?
At the same time, without TV or beer, Homer begins going crazy and tries to kill his family.
Hello, police. This is Marge Simpson. My husband is on a murderous rampage. Over.
Oh, well, thank God that's over. I was worried there for a second.
It's note for note a perfect spoof of Stanley Kubrick's horror film with non-stop laugh-out-loud moments.
Give me the bat, Marge. Give me the bat. Give me the bat. Come on. Give me the bat. Give me the bat. Scaredy cat.
In Time and Punishment, Homer accidentally breaks their toaster after he gets his hand stuck in it. In an attempt to repair it, he instead creates a form of time machine which transports him back to the age of dinosaurs.
I've gone back to the time when dinosaurs weren't just confined to zoos.
Homer discovers that touching just about anything affects the future.
Hey, where is everybody?
Hey, there's a bug that looks like Dad. Let's kill it. Okay.
Throughout the episode, Homer comedically keeps trying to fix the future and get it back to the way it was. This includes trying to escape an alternate future where Flanders is the Lord of Springfield.
Oh no, they're gaining on me! Wait, I have an idea! These wieners will give me the quick energy I need to escape!
Seeing alternate versions of The Simpsons and Homer react to them make this a very fun segment.
Marge, dear, would you kindly pass me a donut?
Donut? What's a donut? It's raining again.
The last story, titled Nightmare Cafeteria, is a parody of the 1973 thriller Soylent Green. At school, Principal Skinner is worried about the overflow of students in detention. Meanwhile, Lunch Lady Doris is upset they have to use grade F meat due to budget cuts. By sheer accident, Skinner discovers the common solution to their problems: eating the detention students. It's a completely ridiculous and absurd story, and it's fantastic.
Oh, relax, kids. I've got a gut feeling Ooter's around here somewhere. After all, isn't there a little Ooter in all of us? In fact, you might even say we just ate Ooter, and he's in our stomachs right now. Wait, scratch that one.
Number 2, Treehouse of Horror, number 2. And no, I didn't plan it that way, I swear. This episode begins with another warning from Marge about the scary content of the episode, followed by one of the many great Halloween intros. In the wraparound for the episode, the kids return from trick-or-treating, and Marge warns them that if they eat too much candy, they'll have nightmares, but that doesn't stop them from pigging out. Lisa is the first to have a nightmare, spawning the first segment, The Monkey's Paw. While on vacation in North Africa, Homer buys a monkey's paw after being warned by the merchant that the wishes it grants carry great misfortune.
Ooh, Homer, where did you get that ugly thing?
Why, at that little shop right over there. On your way, it was over there.
You'll be sorry.
Following the classic monkey's paw tale, every wish the family makes ends up coming back to bite them. Well, except for perhaps Maggie's wish. It's pretty funny watching everyone's wish backfire. Even Lisa's wish for world peace takes a dark turn when Kodos and Kane invade.
Your superior intellect is no match for our puny weapons.
Bart's nightmare spoofs the classic Twilight Zone episode, It's a Good Life. In the segment, Bart has the ability to read people's minds as well as alter reality. So everyone is forced to be extra kind to him and think good thoughts so as not to upset him. It's another great Simpsons version of a Twilight Zone episode, and you'd actually think, how could this be a nightmare? Well, after Bart turns Homer into a jack-in-the-box, Marge takes them to Dr. Monroe, who suggests Bart and Homer spend quality time together. And that's when the story takes a big turn, resulting in one of the funniest endings of all.
Hey, oh, thanks, boy.
I love you, Dad.
I love you, son.
Homer's nightmare is a bit of a parody of Frankenstein. He gets fired for sleeping on the job and gets a new job as a gravedigger. After a short while, he falls asleep in an open grave. Meanwhile, out looking for a brain, the mad scientists Mr. Burns and Smithers find Homer and, thinking he's dead, remove his brain and place it in a robot. But, being Homer's brain, the robot gains all of his habits and characteristics.
Sprinkles.
Disappointed, Mr. Burns returns Homer's brain to his body. It's a fun segment with a very silly twist at the end.
Did you have a nightmare, homie?
No, Bart bit me.
Hey, man, you were crushing me. I tried to scream, but my mouth was full of flab.
And here it is, my number 1 Simpsons Halloween special. Treehouse of Horror, number 4 from season 5. The episode kicks off with a fun Halloween intro, then spoofs the TV series Night Gallery in one of the best wraparounds. Bart plays the role of Rod Serling, introducing us to each of the 3 segments. In The Devil and Homer Simpson, Homer offers to sell his soul for a donut. The devil, who happens to be Flanders, appears and agrees to the offer, giving Homer a donut. However, in an attempt to outsmart the devil, Homer doesn't finish the donut, but unwittingly ends up finishing it later that night.
Forbidden donut.
Before Flanders can claim Homer's soul, Lisa requests a fair trial, to which Flanders reluctantly agrees to. But Homer is forced to spend the time leading up to the trial in hell. It's absolutely hilarious, especially when Homer is forced to eat tons of donuts in an attempt to torment him.
More.
The trial is about as silly as ever, with Lionel Hutz as Homer's defense lawyer.
Mr. Simpson, don't you worry. I watched Matlock in a bar last night. The sound wasn't on, but I think I got the gist of it.
The second story, Terror at 5.5 Feet, parodies the classic Twilight Zone episode Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. Bart has a premonition that his school bus crashes and everyone dies. Later, while riding the bus, he witnesses a gremlin on the side of the bus attacking it. Bart tries to warn everyone, but nobody believes him as they don't see it when they look. Soon, everyone thinks Bart is simply crazy, including Principal Skinner.
Now, I've gotten word that a child is using his imagination, and I've come to put a stop to it.
There's countless funny moments in this episode. There's also the typical cameo from Kane and Kodos. Bart Simpson's Dracula is the title of the final story and is my personal favorite. After watching a news report on TV, Lisa is convinced that Mr. Burns is a vampire. No one else believes her, and the family is invited to Mr. Burns' mansion for a midnight dinner. Soon upon arriving, it's more and more obvious that Mr. Burns is a vampire.
Dad, do you notice anything strange?
Yeah, his hairdo looks so queer.
I heard that. He was a boy.
Lisa and Bart investigate, and they discover Burns' secret lair containing a bunch of vampires. While trying to escape, Bart gets caught by Mr. Burns and gets bitten. Lisa tries to warn her parents, but they won't believe her and return home. It's easily one of the funniest segments of all the specials, with non-stop vampire jokes.
Wait a minute! You are a vampire! Quick! We have to kill the boy!
How'd you know he's a vampire?
He's a vampire? Ah!
Of course, I can't neglect to mention that this episode has by far one of the best endings ever, spoofing a Charlie Brown Christmas.
Happy Halloween, everybody!
It makes me laugh every time. Well, that's my top 10, but here's some honorable mentions for those episodes that just didn't quite make the list. Treehouse of Horror 9, particularly for the segments Hell to Pay and The Terror of Tiny Toon. In Hell to Pay, Homer gets a hair transplant from the recently executed snake, but the hair transforms Homer into the killer. Bart and Lisa become part of a deadly Itchy and Scratchy cartoon in The Terror of Tiny Toon. This episode also features one of my favorite Halloween openings.
I don't get it. They should be here by now.
What are you gonna do?
Treehouse of Horror 15, namely for the segments The Ned Zone and In the Belly of the Boss. In The Ned Zone, Ned Flanders is able to foresee the deaths of everyone he touches in this parody of The Dead Zone.
I had a vision of myself shooting your father.
In this neighborhood, who hasn't?
In The Belly of the Boss, the Simpsons are shrunken down to microscopic size to try to save Maggie, who's also been shrunk and swallowed by Mr. Burns.
And to make sure we get there super fast, I'm hitting all the buttons with my palm.
Well, that hurt like hell.
Treehouse of Horror 11 for the segment Ghost Dad. After Homer dies from choking on a piece of broccoli, he's given 24 hours to do a good deed in order to get into heaven.
Another broccoli-related death.
But I thought broccoli was...
Oh yes, one of the deadliest plants on Earth. Why, it tries to warn you itself with its terrible taste.
Treehouse of Horror 14 for the hilarious segment Reaper Madness. After killing Death with a bowling ball, Homer becomes the new Grim Reaper.
Jasper, your time has come.
Where's the regular guy? Where's Doug?
Never mind, I'm Death now.
Oh, I liked Doug.
And Treehouse of Horror 23 for the segment Unnormal Activity, which is quite possibly the best spoof of Paranormal Activity. Well, that wraps it up for me, but what are your favorite Simpsons Halloween episodes? Leave me a comment below and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.
Oh, still thinking about Halloween? We've already got our Christmas decorations up.
Ho, 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 ho,